Alright, episode 8 of A Game of Thrones. I apologize for not reviewing last week's episode. I was out of town then for Memorial Day, so I did get to watch it, but I'm just going to kind of skim over it here for episode 8. And this is kind of going to be the last time that I'll review the series. I will review the entire season once it finishes up in about 2 weeks, but for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and give my thoughts on this episode here while I'm got it in mind. The last episode, basically what it amounted to was that the big points of the story was that Robert Baratheon has finally passed on, but he suspended the hit that he put out on the Targaryen girl. Unfortunately, didn't reach in time, and the hit is still tried to be carried out. They're able to thwart an assassination attempt from a merchant out on with the Dothraki people, and eventually, Khal Drogo's got it in mind. You know what? My wife wants this so badly, I'm going to go for the Iron Throne after all. And he gives like this really pumped up speech to his followers, sort of like a coach going into the big game is like, we're going to go out, we're going to conquer this. I'm going to put my son in this iron chair. We're going to kill the men, rape the women, just chaos all over. And that Jason Momoa done a really good job with it. Shoot, he had me pumped up enough from watching it to where I wanted to go and sign up with him. But it was pretty good, and unfortunately, now Ned is backed into a corner. He's seemingly run out of allies now in King's Landing because of betrayal. Littlefinger pretty much come out and said, hey, you shouldn't trust me. And his words were pretty well spoken at the end of the episode when pretty much all of the King's guards slew the men that were loyal to Ned, and Littlefinger himself come up with a knife behind his throat. So they're pretty serious about keeping Joffrey on the throne. Alright, as far as this episode goes, first off, in the first 5 minutes, I would like to say rest in peace to Syrio Foal. Unfortunately, he is gone now. Actually went out rather well defending Arya from being taken by the Kingsguard. And, the Kingsguard ain't really amounting to shit. Basically, when a man with a wooden sword can whoop 5 of you, and all these guys have the metal swords. So, it was at least cool to see Syrio go out with his boots on. And even Arya herself had to drag, actually wound up having to take the life of somebody who had come after her. Now basically she's fled from King's Landing. Meanwhile, while this is going on, there's dissension mounting in between Catelyn and Lysa. I stated in my original review of A Game of Thrones that I really didn't like Catelyn as a character, but there are times that I do feel sorry for her. In this case, what's pretty much we've already established is going to happen to her husband, and the fact that her sister is turning her back on her, I do feel sorry for her. Let's see. Getting back on with Daenerys real quick. Her and Jorah Mormont pretty much witnessed Khal Drogo leading a raid on this village of sheep herders who actually wind up being slaughtered, and Daenerys doesn't like the way that the women are treated and pretty much puts up a challenge to the rights of the Dothraki men being able to take their spoils of war, namely the women. And basically there's a short fight that ensues with Khal Drogo being able to take care of an insubordinate guy who actually gets killed with Khal Drogo was carrying a weapon, which is kind of cool. But he's wounded, and we get introduced to, and forgive me if I say this wrong, Miri Miraz Zoe or something like that. I'll just call her Triple M. Basically, Triple M is a little bit of a witch who is able to treat the Khal's wounds, although from the looks of one of the guards that was close by, this is something that we should not trust. Now, I've read this part in the books, but for some reason I'm kind of feeling considerate tonight. I don't feel like spoiling too much of the episode, just besides from the little bits that I've said. On the wall, we finally got back onto Jon Snow last week. Nothing much happened except that him and Sam and a bunch of the other guys had finally gotten through with their basic on the wall, and they're graduated to their certain positions. And there seemed to have been a little trick as far as what jobs were handed out to the graduates at the wall. And basically there's this one guy that has it out for Jon Snow because he really hates bastards. And basically Jon winds up as steward to Commander Mormont instead of as a ranger like he wanted to do. Jon's really pissed about this, but Sam actually talks some reason into him and say, hey, you know, this is actually an advantage to you. The commander's actually wanting to groom you for commandment, and you get to have ears in a lot of places that the rest of us wouldn't be able to go. And that was pretty much what happened last week. This week, Jon almost takes it out on that guy when he comes along and just gives him the bad news about his father's capture in King's Landing. And eventually, though, Jon is able to sort of redeem himself in the commander's eyes when he rescues him from one of the bodies that was brought back from beyond the wall. Benjen is still missing, but they brought back two guys, and apparently, touched by the White Walkers, they come to life. So we have sort of a zombie fight take place in between Jon Snow and this White Walker, which kind of lets you know that those monsters that you saw at the opening of the first episode is kind of like saying, hey, we're still here. I thought that was pretty good. And we also discovered the White Walker's weakness as well. Bran is, you know, sort of having to grow up a little bit faster, especially since his brother Robb has left to declare war on the Lannister family now. And we also have a little bit of bonding time in between Bran and Asha, the wildling woman that was captured couple of episodes back, and they share a talk of the old gods under the old weirwood tree. And this will be a little bit of something that comes up later on. I really liked her character, and plus we even get a little cameo from Hodor in this. And apparently there seems to be a little bit of attraction in between Asha and Hodor, which is kind of interesting. I think that was kind of said in the books, but they kind of play a little more subtly played out here. Meanwhile, for Ned, though, he has a little visit from Varys, which unfortunately doesn't bode well for him. We find out truly where Varys' loyalties lie, and basically that it pretty much looks like that Ned Stark is screwed. I'm sorry to say, but unfortunately it just seems the way it is. Cersei is playing her hand out now, and Joffrey, or not Joffrey, but yeah, Joffrey is now crowned king, and he's on the throne, and he's wasting no time into just going all out and messing up as much of the kingdom as possible, including personally firing one of the oldest and strongest guys there that happened to be protecting him at the time. We get caught back up with Tyrion, who, aside from Bronn, gains himself a few allies while traversing away from the Eyrie and marching back to Tywin's tent, and we actually get to see a little more verified of the saying that Tyrion told Jon a few episodes back about how all dwarves are considered bastards in their father's eyes, basically from the way that he treats his son. The only reason that he's even thought about going to war over his son was simply for the fact that he was a Lannister, and aside from that, he couldn't really give two rats' asses what would happen to him. And man, there's just a lot going on there, but all in all, this is a pretty solid episode. It's not as good as it was last weekend, where we had a lot more of the action taking place in there, but it's definitely coming out. We have 2 episodes left to go, which will leave the show concluding Sunday on Father's Day, I believe. So, if not then, I should be back sometime day or two afterwards, and I'll review that. But anyways, that's pretty much my review for episode 8 tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed, and leave your questions, comments, and you know the rest. Until next time, see y'all later.